provide you with the lowest per GB rates, night or day. SLT 4G, driving you ever forward.
Making headlines at first at 9. Another takes oath. AHM Fauzi takes oath as the State Minister of National Unity, Coexistence and Muslim Religious Affairs. Gearing for the next session. The UPFA decides to appoint MP Dinesh Gunawardena as the leader of the House. The political impasse. What really happened in Sri Lanka?
I am defending a principle. The majority of the voters voted to uphold democracy.
You're saying China has no hand behind this coup?
Nothing. This is not a coup. This is a constitutional change.
Ministers have to be appointed. They have to be given their tasks. And budget is the most important thing. So that is the main reason why the parliament has been broke.
The agenda. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemns Khashoggi killing, but shines the spotlight on Iran.
I think that the larger problem is Iran.
Heavyweight semi-final. Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic to meet in Paris Masters last 4. Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Kanaiga. Now let's start you off with your local stories. AHM Fauzi today took oath as the State Minister of National Unity, Coexistence and Muslim Religious Affairs before President Maithripala Sirisena. With the latest appointment, the number of state ministers to have been sworn in goes up to 8, while 15 cabinet ministers and 8 deputy ministers also taking oath in the interim government backed by President Sirisena and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse.
AHM Fauzi took oath as the State Minister of National Unity, Coexistence and Muslim Religious Affairs before President Maithripala Sirisena this morning. UNP parliamentarian SB Navinna was sworn in as the Minister of Cultural Affairs, Internal Affairs and Regional Development last evening. Parliamentarian of the Ilangai Tamil Arasu Katchi S. Velendiran also took oath as the Deputy Minister of Regional Development. That brings the total of cabinet ministers appointed under the interim government to 15, while 8 state ministers and 8 deputy ministers also taking oath. According to the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, the number of ministers in the cabinet is limited to 30, while the number of state ministers and deputy ministers are limited to 40 in a scenario when a national government is not in effect. Accordingly, 15 cabinet ministerial positions are vacant, while 24 state and deputy ministerial positions also require being filled. 7 UNP parliamentarians pledged their support to the interim government, while a TNA parliamentarian and the leader of EPDP Douglas Devananda received ministerial portfolios pledging support to the new government. According to the current composition of the parliament, the interim government has the support of 104 parliamentarians, while the UNP has only 99 MPs in favour. Meanwhile, the UPFA-led interim government has unanimously decided to appoint MP Dinesh Gunawardena as the leader of the House when the parliament meets next.
The Speaker, who should be independent, is calling on ambassadors and attempting to make personal statements regarding the current situation. This is completely wrong, since the Speaker should work independently in any democratic parliament. It is stated that the parliament will be convened on the 7th of this month, but it is an utter lie. It is the President who can convene a parliament. Accordingly, a Gazette notification has been issued informing the Speaker that the parliament will be convened on the 16th. When the parliament convenes, the session will be conducted ceremoniously and then the agenda will be prepared. The appointment of the Chief Government Whip has been postponed by a few days. When the Parliament convenes, the interim budget will be tabled. If the Speaker says that we can go for a vote on that day, it's deceit. A parliamentarian of the TNA took oath under the new government, and that number might increase. I won't comment on that any further. According to this clause in the Constitution, the Parliament can even be prorogued for 2 months. As things stand, Parliament can be convened. The inaugural session can be conducted and the Parliament can be prorogued once more. This is the situation when power prevails. Speaker is the third citizen of the country, only behind the President and the Prime Minister. He should be independent. I haven't stepped into Sirikotha after being appointed the Speaker. The Speaker and the Mace are not two different entities. Parliament goes silent after the prorogation. The Speaker, in fact, is a person who does not speak. The Parliament is inactive after the prorogation and it can only be opened by the President. This should be understood. I would like to ask whether the Prime Minister was appointed by the Parliament. If the Speaker resigns, he should give the resignation to the President and not the Parliament. What is the basis of this statement? Isn't this a joke? Is it right to use the Constitution for their political agendas? Absolutely, it is constitutional. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse today visited the Palyagoda Vijayakumar Piriven and engaged in religious observances. During a discussion with the Prime Minister, Chancellor of the University of Sabaragamuwa, Venerable Professor Kumburugamuwa Vajirathera said that the clergy and the public stand by the decision taken by the President, which saw former President Mahinda Rajapakse being appointed Prime Minister.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse engaged in religious observances at the Vijayakumar Pirivena in Palyagoda this evening. He later met with the chief incumbent of the Vijayakumar Pirivena, Venerable Dr. Valamitiyave Kusaladhammathera. The Premier also met with Chancellor of the University of Sabaragamuwa, Venerable Professor Kumburugamuwa Vajirathera.
According to the powers vested on the President by the Constitution, appointment of PM Rajapakse is the best decision for the country's future. Neither us nor the public have any doubt in this regard.
Later, the Prime Minister, who arrived at the Kalaniya temple, called on the chief incumbent of the temple, Venerable Professor Kollupiti Mahinda Sangarakkithathera.
Former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, meanwhile, points to lack of adequate support the interim government has in Parliament as cause for the delay in convening Parliament. Speaking to Al Jazeera in Colombo, the former Premier continued to insist that he commands the confidence of a majority.
In the last presidential election, parliamentary elections, we came forward on the basis that Parliament is supreme, that the President must act according to the wishes of Parliament. The 19th Amendment to the Constitution was drafted on that basis. Now what has happened is, the President is trying to override the powers of Parliament.
Why the delay, you think, in recalling Parliament?
Because they haven't the numbers. If you have the numbers, recall Parliament and finish this off.
You think you've got the numbers?
We have the numbers here.
We hear a lot of talk about persuading MPs to join Rajapakse's side. How might they be persuaded? What are you hearing about what's going on?
They are offering members the ministryships. There can be an upheaval, because people are getting disgruntled. Why is it we voted for parliamentary democracy, we asked for a different setup, and all of a sudden we find this is even worse than 2014. I am defending a principle and the fact that the majority of the voters voted in 2015 to uphold democracy, and if we let them down, that will also be ironed.
Parliamentarian Namal Rajapakse assures India that neighbouring superpower has nothing to worry over his father, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse, coming to power. Speaking to India's NDTV, the UPFA parliamentarian also denied allegations of the interim government offering money to lure support, while insisting former PM Ranil Wickremesinghe is now given a taste of his own medicine.
Who is the real Prime Minister?
So the President has appointed President Rajapakse as Prime Minister according to the powers he has vested under him under the Constitution.
Right.
And we understand former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's point, because he has to hold on to the party. The time he says he is not the Prime Minister.
He says that this entire move is illegal.
See, he says it to hang on to the political party of his own, but if you look at what he has done in 2015, the same thing, right? The President has the powers from the Constitution to dissolve the cabinet, and President has decided to dissolve the cabinet and appoint a new cabinet. So new cabinet includes the Prime Minister him as well. It's a serious allegation, and it's a serious investigation, a plot to assassinate a head of state. But I'm sure what mattered for President Sirisena, not only that, but there are many other reasons.
Many see this as just simply a way your father to enter through the back door.
Well, see, we never entered through the back door.
Okay.
It was President Sirisena's invitation and the wish and the discussion between two leaders as to what they should do next to stable the economy and bring back the political, economic and social stability to the country for next couple of months.
How long had these talks been going on?
Well, as far as we know, it goes back to 4-5 months.
You're saying China has no hand behind this coup?
Nothing. This is not a coup. This is a constitutional change.
When questioned if the Sri Lankan government would have a pro-China tilt after Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse coming to power, parliamentarian Namal Rajapakse had this to say.
India has nothing to worry. We do know in the past there was a misunderstanding. But if you look at the agreements that Honorable Vikramasinghe got into with certain countries, it's far worse than getting them to invest in your country. So at that time, where was India? Did India question Honorable Prime Minister at that time, why did you get into this agreement? India should be a developing partner for us. India has been very closely working with my father during the war. India helped us to defeat terrorism and we fought India's war. Prabhakaran assassinated Rajiv Gandhi. So we fought not only our war, we brought peace for the region.
MP Rajapakse also responded to allegations of money being offered to lure support for the interim government.
He has to say that. Otherwise, how is he going to hold on to his ministers? They are all coming in numbers. We haven't offered a single rupee for any of his members.
But where will you get the numbers then?
We do have the numbers.
Is this move partly to ensure the next generation of Rajapaksa are taking over?
Honorable Ranil Vikramasinghe said himself, stated in political stage, President Rajapaksa never wants to take over the government because he wants to wait till Namal becomes 35 to hand it over to him.
Okay.
But now he's saying he made this move for me. My question is, Honorable Vikramasinghe stated one thing before, and he changes the entire story. Now, if someone believes that you can become the Prime Minister when you are 32, it's a dream.
Former Governor of the Eastern Province, retired Rear Admiral Mohan Vijayakumar brushes off suggestions that the Parliament was prorogued to buy time for the interim government. Joining a debate on France 24 recently, former Governor of the Eastern Province gave necessary preparations required, including the budget, as reason for the prorogation. He also insisted that the ousting of Ranil Vikramasinghe as Premier and the appointment of former President Mahinda Rajapakse in his place by the President is very much legal.
Joining a live debate on France 24, former Governor of the Eastern Province, retired Rear Admiral Mohan Vijayakumar moved to clarify claims which say that the President consented to the Parliament being convened on the 5th.
No, I think he has been misquoted because it was at a time of a meeting where he was told over the phone that there's a possibility that it will be advanced to 5th, but that was not confirmed, neither gazetted, because if you are going to resummon the Parliament after proroguing it, you have to make a proclamation, and there is no proclamation which has been done here.
Is this legal?
Yes, it's absolutely legal, because when the President and the Prime Minister jointly formed a national government after
Now, we do apologize for that technical glitch. Meanwhile, releasing a statement today, the Tamil National Alliance has decided to vote in favour of the no-confidence motion against the premiership of Mahinda Rajapakse. Leader of the House, Lakshman Kiryala, yesterday handed a no-confidence motion to Speaker Karu Jayasuriya against the premiership of Mahinda Rajapakse and the interim government.
Leader of the House Lakshman Kiryala yesterday handed a motion of no confidence to Speaker Karu Jayasuriya against the premiership of Mahinda Rajapakse and the interim government. Releasing a statement today, the Tamil National Alliance said that according to the Constitution of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, the President does not possess the authority to remove a Prime Minister who's in office. The TNA added that the Gazette notifications which effected the removal of the then Prime Minister and the appointment of a new Premier are unconstitutional and illegal. The Tamil National Alliance also considers the President's decision to prorogue Parliament undemocratic and in violation of parliamentary supremacy. In the statement, the TNA strongly condemns and opposes the efforts to use the prorogation period to bribe members of Parliament with both money and ministerial positions to induce them to cross over in order to obtain a majority in Parliament. It goes on to say that TNA parliamentarian S.V. Elendhiran has fallen prey to this conspiracy and necessary action will be taken against him. Citing these reasons, the Tamil National Alliance says it will vote in favour of the no-confidence motion against the interim government and PM Mahinda Rajapakse, who they say has been unconstitutionally and illegally appointed as Prime Minister. The TNA went on to say that neutrality in such a situation would degenerate the country. Meanwhile, parliamentarians of the UNP met with the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, today. TNA parliamentarian M.A. Sumandiran was also seen during the discussion.
Sequence of provisions that says what happens when the Prime Minister ceases to be of by death, resignation or otherwise. In the single it says by death, resignation or removal. But it doesn't say removal by who. And anyway, that is not the enabling provision for President to remove. You must have a substantive provision to remove. This is a consequence. Remove was repealed in the 19th Amendment. Simply that is the issue. So the confusion they are causing is by showing that word. So that is legality. Eventually, though, you must have majority in the House.
We should not act like monkeys. We might have been subjected to injustices within the party, but we have come together for a purpose.
Several media briefings were held at the temple trees today as well.
Yesterday, the Attorney General and the attorneys of the Aegis Department who conduct criminal inquiries had to be provided with STF security. You might have understood how far the rights of the citizens have been challenged. We will govern the country if we gain parliamentary majority. If not, we will allow the other party to govern. We will sit in the opposition and that is not a problem for us. We received 124 audio recordings. Sri Lanka does not have the technology to recover the edited recordings. None of these recordings contained anything about the President or the former Defence Secretary. If I'm wrong, take action against me. Now let's try and take another look at what former Governor of the Eastern Province, retired Rear Admiral Mohan Vijayakumar had to say about the recent political manifestations in Sri Lanka.
Joining a live debate on France 24, former Governor of the Eastern Province, retired Rear Admiral Mohan Vijayakumar moved to clarify claims which say that the President consented to the Parliament being convened on the 5th.
No, I think he has been misquoted because it was at a time of a meeting where he was told over the phone that there's a possibility that it will be advanced to 5th, but that was not confirmed, neither gazetted, because if you are going to resummon the parliament after proroguing it, you have to make a proclamation, and there is no proclamation which has been done yet.
Is this legal?
Yes, it's absolutely legal, because when the President and the Prime Minister jointly formed a national government after the loss of Prime Minister Rajapakse, they continued as a national government after the general elections. As per the Constitution, when one party pulls out, automatically cabinet gets dissolved. As per the regulations, Article 48(1), when the cabinet gets dissolved, the Prime Minister automatically gets dislodged.
Why not reconvene Parliament next week?
The marriage between Sirisena and Ranil Wickremesinghe at the start was to oust Rajapakses. But their policies never resonated. And when a new government is formed, new Prime Minister is appointed, they are not going to pursue the same policies of the previous government. Ministers have to be appointed, they have to be given their tasks. So that is the main reason why the Parliament has been prorogued, which is absolutely legal. If he wants, he can advance it by another proclamation. I mean, it all depends whether he can get everything in order. And budget is the most important thing, because by December, it has to be approved so that the country to go forward. If anything is not legal, we have a Supreme Court in Sri Lanka. It is the wrong message has been promulgated by certain vested people. I must tell you, when the Parliament assembles, there is nothing called confidence vote. If the Parliament feels that there is no confidence against the Prime Minister who has been duly appointed, you have to bring a no confidence vote against him. And we'll say, for instance, Mahinda Rajapakse loses that vote, it is not a confidence vote for Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Facing questions on PM Rajapakse's ties to China, retired Rear Admiral Mohan Vijayakumar had this to say: the superpower's involvement in Sri Lanka's Hambantota port.
And do you know that Hambantota port was never given to Chinese by Mahinda Rajapakse, but it was given to Chinese by Ranil Wickremesinghe. And even this 50,000 houses, which came as a result of Indian grant, was given to a Chinese contractor by Ranil Wickremesinghe, and he was admonished and told to give it to Indians.
The former governor of the Eastern Province also addressed concerns the international community harbours on Sri Lanka's reconciliation process, with PM Rajapakse coming to power.
No, not at all. I think Sri Lanka has initiated its own mechanism for taking action against people who have, had war crimes. But this 40,000 thing is a bit of a fallacy, because you can't hide 40,000 skeletons in Jaffna. And we have not got 40,000 names of the people who have got killed. We were very unfortunate for Ranil Wickremesinghe's government to readily go and accept that there had been 40,000 deaths. I mean, from satellite you can find out whether there are people who have died of that magnitude.
Now, UPFA parliamentarian Susil Premajanta says that the interim government is ready to prove their majority in parliament when it convenes on the 16th. Now, he expressed these views while addressing media following a discussion held at the Prime Minister's office today.
A meeting of the interim government was held under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse at the Premier's office today.
තව කී දෙනෙක් ඉන්නෙන්නවද කියලා එහෙම කිව්වද අඩුම අපේ ඉලක්කය තියෙන 125ක්. ඉතින් ඒ සඳහා මේ දවස්වල මම හිතන්නේ නොඑක් දෙනා උදේ සමහරක් අය දිවුරුම් දෙනවා හැන්දෑවේ දිවුරුම් දෙනවා. තව සතියක් විතර ඇතුළතදී අපේ ඉලක්කය සාර්ථක කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි. මේ අවස්ථාවේදී කියන්න පුළුවන් ස්ථාවර ආණ්ඩුවක් පවත්වාගෙන යාම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය බහුතරය ගරු අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාට ලැබෙනවා කියන කාරණේ.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුව රැස් වෙනකොට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ අපේ වැඩි බලය අපි තහවුරු කරන්නටත් ඒ වගේම පරීක්ෂණයකට ලක් වෙනවා නම් ඒ සිදුවෙන ආකාරයත් ඔවුන් ඉදිරිපත් කර තිබෙන විශ්වාස භංග යෝජනාව පිළිබඳවත් මේවා තමයි කතා කළේ.
In the meantime, a group of members of the Buddhist clergy also expressed their views on the decision taken by the President to withdraw from the national government and appoint Mahinda Rajapakse as the Prime Minister.
The move made by the President is approved by many of the country. This move is only rejected by the US and the European countries. We could see the Mahasangha too approving this. When someone attempts to change the history of the country, we are saddened and displeased. When valuable archaeological sites were destroyed, people of the country lost their right over them. We were disappointed to see how those sacrificed their lives during the war were treated during the past 3 years. From the time they came to power, they were talking about bringing a new constitution. But the Mahasangha insisted that both a new constitution or an amendment are not needed. They were preparing the background to move towards a federal system. By changing the premiership, the President took a brave decision.
In the meantime, State Minister of Plantation Industries Vadivel Suresh convened a media briefing today and said that they are expecting a good response to the wage issue of plantation workers. Minister of Hill Country, New Villages, Infrastructure and Community Development Arumugam Thundaman was also present.
There is the issue of plantation workers' wages like never before, but we got the opportunity of having the Ministries of Hill Country, New Villages and Ministry of Plantation Industries together. This is the first time it happened and there was a tug of war before. The wage issue is the same. After discussing with the Prime Minister last evening, he promised to give more details on Monday following a discussion. We hope to give you good news before Wednesday. When constructing houses for people, we can now get together and do it, and the people are pleased over it. There is no need to make an issue out of this. The people at plantations are happy. Who is Vasantha Senanayake? The grandson of DS Senanayake. If the UNP isn't good enough for him, why are you asking me to prop it up?
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, according to the World Bank, Sri Lanka rose 11 notches in the Ease of Doing Business Index 2019, being ranked 100 among 190 economies. According to the latest World Bank report, Sri Lanka has carried out 4 reforms, which included making dealing with construction permits easier, while the introduction of online payments made it easy to pay taxes. Furthermore, Sri Lanka has also made it easier for businesses to register property and enforce contracts, which made the country to move up in the doing ease of business. The World Bank said ongoing reform efforts are gathering momentum as well, with their impact yet to be realized and measured by doing business. Moving on to news overseas, the Trump administration is to reinstate all US sanctions on Iran removed under the 2015 nuclear deal. The White House said it was the toughest sanctions regime ever imposed on Tehran. It targets both Iran and states that trade with it. However, temporary waivers will be granted to 8 countries to allow them to continue importing Iranian oil. EU states that back the nuclear deal have said they will protect EU firms doing legitimate business with Iran. After yesterday's announcement, President Donald Trump tweeted sanctions are coming, referencing the TV series Game of Thrones and its motto, "Winter is coming." Moving on to one of the most talked about stories Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has for the first time accused the Saudi government directly of murdering journalist Jamal Khashoggi. In an article in the Washington Post, he wrote that Turkey knows the order to kill Khashoggi came from the highest levels of the Saudi government. Khashoggi was murdered at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul on the 2nd of October. In the meantime, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday condemned the killing of the journalist. However, he kept the focus on Iran.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday condemned the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi in Saudi Arabia's consulate in Istanbul, but said the bigger problem facing the region was Iran. Netanyahu made the comments during a news conference in the Bulgarian city of Varna, where he met the Bulgarian, Greek, Romanian and Serbian leaders.
I think we should not lose our gaze on what's important. There are things that are very important. For example, what happened in the Istanbul consulate was horrendous, and it should be duly dealt with. Yet at the same time, I say that it's very important for the stability of the world, of the region and of the world, that Saudi Arabia remains stable. And I think that a way must be found to achieve both goals, because I think that the larger problem is Iran, and I think that we have to make sure that Iran does not continue the malign activities that it has been doing over the last few weeks in Europe.
Indian officials say that a tigress, which is said to have killed 13 people, has been shot dead after a major manhunt. The 6-year-old tigress had evaded capture in the jungles of the western state of Maharashtra for 2 years. Last month, wildlife officials deployed perfume in a bid for the animal. Activists had campaigned to save the tiger, but India's Supreme Court said it would not interfere if forest rangers were forced to shoot it. A tranquilizer dart was fired at the animal. Once it hit, the tigress charged the patrol vehicle and she was killed by a single shot from a distance of between 8 and 10 meters.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Time for sports, and it is tennis. World number 3 Roger Federer and world number 1 in waiting Novak Djokovic overcame their quarter-final opponents to set up a mouth-watering semi-final clash at the Paris Masters. There was also a shock at the tournament yesterday as 4th seed Alexander Zverev was ousted.
Russia's Karen Khachanov beat 4th seed Alexander Zverev in straight sets yesterday to book a surprise spot in the Paris Masters semi-final. Khachanov, fresh from beating the number 8 seed John Isner, took the match 6-1, 6-2 to set up a semi-final against Dominic Thiem. Australia's Thiem, meanwhile, came back from a set-down to beat American Jack Sock in their quarter-final clash 4-6, 6-4, 6-4. In the meantime, Novak Djokovic overcame a formidable examination from Marin Cilic, having to also come from a set-down to forge into the Paris Masters semi-final with racket-smashing intensity and extend his winning streak to 21 matches yesterday. The Serb, who will return to world number 1 next week, battled to a 4-6, 6-2, 6-3 win. Roger Federer, meanwhile, made quick work of Kei Nishikori at the Paris Masters with a comprehensive 6-4, 6-4 win. The Swiss star's win moves him a step near to winning his 100th career title, but he has to defeat an old nemesis in the form of Serbia's Novak Djokovic in the semi-finals.
You are watching Sri Lanka's number 1 news channel, Derana 24/7.
Moving on to your weather forecast for tomorrow. Temperatures will vary between 20 to 29 degrees Celsius with the highest of 29 expected in Batticaloa. A low pressure zone will develop along the coastal belt from Batticaloa to Galle and will gradually disappear. Rains are expected in most parts of the island, while fairly heavy falls of about 75 millimeters can be expected in Sabaragamuwa, Central and Uva provinces, as well as in Ampara and Hambantota districts. It's time for you to get the latest from the world of entertainment with our segment 70 Seconds of Entertainment.
Hong Kong film producer Raymond Cho, who introduced martial arts legend Bruce Lee to the world, has died at the age of 91. Cho had success in the 1980s with films featuring another kung fu star, Jackie Chan. Known as the godfather of Hong Kong films, Cho produced more than 600 films before retiring in 2007. US actor Alec Baldwin has been charged with assault in New York City after allegedly punching a man in a fight over a parking spot. He left a police station in the city after being ordered to appear in court on the 26th of November. This is not Baldwin's first run-in with the law, as he was arrested for disorderly conduct in 2014 as well. Thousands of revelers adorned in terror-inducing costumes and makeup brought scenes from hell to West Hollywood for the city's annual Halloween Carnival last Wednesday. Said to be the world's biggest gathering of ghouls and ghosts, the West Hollywood Halloween party draws tens of thousands of people to Los Angeles in some of the most outrageous and controversial costumes. Oscar-nominated actress Naomi Watts has been cast in the prequel to hit HBO series Game of Thrones. The exact details of Watts' character are being kept under wraps, but it is known she is playing a charismatic socialite hiding a dark secret.
Very glamorous. Now that's it from all of us here at First at 9, and before we go, we'd like to take you to the Highlands of Scotland. Now the area is sparsely populated with many mountain ranges dominating the region, including the highest mountain in the British Isles, Ben Nevis. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.